Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be making pumpkin soup. I'm going to give you butternut squash though, because that's the original recipe. I'm just using pumpkin in this video because I didn't want to waste the pumpkins we used for our harvest photo shoot. It doesn't make much of a difference, to be honest. It just gives it more of a creamier taste. The butternut squash soup is a sweeter taste. Now we're going to start by lining off our baking trays, and I'm going to show you how to make and prepare the pumpkin or butternut squash fresh, from cutting it up to how to steam it, how to then get it ready for roasting, and then make it into the soup. When I'm in the house, I'm normally lazier. Well, maybe not lazier, but maybe smarter, and I will only use the ready prepared frozen butternut squash, just because after this video you will see the struggle. It is so much easier. You won't have to do any of the de-seeding, you won't have to steam it, you literally just throw it on the tray and you're done. But let's carry on. So first I am gonna try my hardest to cut into these pumpkins, and these pumpkins actually made me think I need to go back to the gym desperately, because my muscles were not adequate for this. It was tough. But we're just going to cut open the pumpkins and then we're going to scoop out all the seeds. I have seen recipes before where people use the seeds to make sort of a snack or salad toppings. If you try it, let me know and tell me how well it worked. I would love to have tried it, just didn't have time on this day. I had to get everything ready pretty quick. So yeah, let me know how it goes, because that'll be something I'm really interested in. I hate waste, as you know, and I think that would be really cool. A little bit of cinnamon and brown sugar. I think that'd be a tasty treat. We didn't waste this, in case you're wondering. We used this as messy play, so the kids then could go and play with the pumpkin guts and make potions. Now I'm wearing gloves. You'll see me wearing gloves a lot in this video, and I'll explain why. I hate the feeling of pumpkin, and I hate the smell of pumpkin. Now I think I bought these as squash because they did not smell. They were really, really nice. They didn't smell, they didn't feel weird, and they were just really, really nice. I was really surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. So you'll see I won't bother wearing them further on in the video, just because they weren't grossing me out. Now, when it comes to roasting the pumpkin later, I'll explain now while you're watching me scoop out a pumpkin. That's so interesting. As you'll see later, I will be wearing a glove, and I will provide you with a glove if you have in the food packs, just because we're going to be using turmeric. Now, that stuff will stain, and it will stain anything. So don't use your fancy utensils that you want to keep pristine. Use the ones that, you wouldn't be upset if they got destroyed or stained, or you know what I mean. We've all got our fit. Now, in case anybody doubted how much of a mess I make, I brought video evidence. Okay, look, it's on the walls, on the floor, and I don't know how this happened. I really don't. I even got some on the underside of the cupboard. How does that happen? I don't know. Anyway, this is a pile of the squash that I have ready. Some of the squash is already in there. Obviously, I'm making it in bigger batches, like I always say, but it just needs to be enough so the knife can slide in gently. Kind of like when you're cooking potatoes and you get the right resistance. You don't want it cooked all the way through, because we're still going to roast it again. So, as a parboiled potato consistency maybe, but we're just looking. We don't want the browned edges yet. If you do have them like I have, that's fine. But we don't want that at this stage. Now, this is where it gets easier. You saw how tough those pumpkins and squashes were earlier on. I was no way going to be able to peel those. No chance. So this is what the steaming does. It makes it easier for us to peel them. Now, you can do it like this. I learned the very, very hard way, or I shouldn't say hard way, I should say the quick way, that this is going to take ages, so I just did them in the big sections. So you could cut them up and then peel them, or you could peel them from this stage and then cut them up, which I would say is a smarter thing to do. But it makes it so much easier. And I think that's where the big pain is when it comes to using pumpkin squashes, butternut squashes, is the peeling. And especially if they're not in season, it'll be extra tough. So, you know, that's why I always said before that I'd normally use the frozen bags. I've seen them in Tesco's. I don't know if they still have them in Tesco's because I haven't not seen them there for a couple of months. And again, please be careful because these will be hot. They keep their heat well. Please be careful. Anyway, like I was saying, I've seen them in Tesco's. I've seen them in Aldi's. I don't tend to go to the other supermarkets that much, so I'm not sure if they have them. I can imagine they would. So, you know, have a little look. They're normally about £1 per bag. When I'm in the house, I'll normally use 3 bags possibly, but that's because I'm bulk making it, as we like to eat different, like, you know, I like cowl. It's always nicer the next day. So you know, portion it out yourself. You know what your families are like. I know my families are heifers and they love eating this soup, so you know, that'll make a lot. So I promise you I'm not going to try and bore you to sleep by just watching me cut up some squash and pumpkins. But feel free to have a nap during this bit. The next bit is the fun bit. So after we chop and peel all these up, we're going to place them in a roasting tray. We use personally disposable trays just because it's easier for us as we are really busy and we just genuinely don't have time to have dishes soaking. So after this point, and you have all your squash and pumpkin and butternut squash prepared, all you need are the following ingredients that you will see on your screen. It is so ridiculously easy that anybody can do it, honestly. It's all we need is pepper, salt, turmeric, mixed herbs and oil. There is thyme up the top of the mixed herbs just because I was running out and I just used any dry green leaves. Let's bring the star back, our hard-earned squash. So now we're just going to season it. Put your gloves on now, please. Please, trust me. Trust me. So now we're going to put those seasonings on that you just saw. So we're going to drizzle it with oil first. We're going to put salt on, pepper, mixed herbs, and then turmeric. In any order you want. You don't have to be fussy. But then we're going to massage it all in and pop it in the oven. And that is it. That is all we need to do. It is so simple. Now, I tend to do seasonings just by eye. I'm going to guesstimate 2 tablespoons of each. Maybe not. If you have the packs for me, I will obviously measure them out for you. I think it's a bit more than 2 tablespoons. Just what you're doing. Anyway, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out for the packs. But for the video, I'm going to say 2 tablespoons. Maybe 3. Now, the next thing you need to trust me on, I did just wash my hands and it didn't stain my gloves, sod's law. But after you mix that in nicely and you've got clean hands, clean up wherever you worked. Trust me, it will stain. You can't see it on this video, and please don't tell anybody, but there was stain left on the unit. I was scrubbing it for hours afterwards. People must think that we finish at 2 because that's when the session's finished. No, I'm here till 4:30 most days, and I was still trying to scrub it at 4:30. Luckily, it came off. But whew, yeah, please make sure you clean up straight away after, or you're gonna be cursing me. Now that we have our butternut squash pumpkin, how fed up are you going to be of me saying that? Now we've got that in the oven roasting, we're going to do the next step, which again, super simple, is to just chop up an onion. We don't need to be fancy with it. You don't need to do it diced. You don't need to do rings. You don't need to do any of that. You can literally chop it into chunks if you want to, into quarters, whatever. I just went for very rough chunks because we're going to be blending it up anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So just get chopping on that onion. Once you've chopped your onion, you're just going to pop it into a pot with a little bit of oil, and you're just going to let them saute a little bit. Just let them chill out in there while you're just getting everything else ready. Now, as you can see, the pumpkin squash, butternut squash, has come out, and you've got, I don't know if you can see it at the top. Ah, there I am. There I'm clever for a change. But they're starting to brown on the edges of the chunks. Now, that's what you want. That's good. I wish I could have left it in a little bit longer. Didn't have the time. As you know me, famous last saying, I always leave everything to the last minute. So you want to have them nice and browned. You don't want them burnt. You want them roasted. So just pop that into the pan. You'll see me get fed up and chuck it all in at one. Just be careful. Please don't burn yourself. Now, when you're putting these in the pan, you will notice when you're scooping them, it will start to turn mushy. That's fine. That's perfect. It's going to ease your job later. Okay? You're doing good. Now here's where we got to the moment. Now the next thing, I did forget about this. We're going to put a stock cube in some boiling water so that we could put it into the soup. I learned the hard way. I did melt it before, and yeah, there were just chunks in the soup and it didn't taste that good. So just melt it. You'll have one stock cube, that's all you need, because I'm making a big batch. I had to use 2. One is plenty. So just melt it a little bit beforehand. And the other tray is ready, like magic. Ta-da! Now, you're going to have to forgive me on the camera angles because the tripod broke and I didn't have a leg, so I couldn't film where I normally would. Now, pour that melted stock cube into the pot, and you want to fill it. You want to fill it with water. I normally do just below the top of the veggies. Now, as you can see in this pot, it's quite high up, so I would say about half of this pot I filled with water. Also, another note, you do not need boiled water. I used boiled water because it was the closest thing I had there that held water. I didn't fancy taking the saucepan over to the sink while still hot, and I didn't fancy going back and forward to the sink with a jug at a time. So, I'm lazy, and we all know that. Moving on. So you just want to give that a bit of a mix, just until you see the water bubbling slightly. You will see again that the pumpkin will start mushing and mixing ready with the water and becoming soft, which is perfect. Again, this is what we want. It's going to make our job easier at the end. So just mix, and when you see it starting to simmer, starting to lightly bubble, we're going on to the next stage. Did you do that? Did you wait till it simmered? Did you get impatient? Ah, see, I'm like that. Anyway, now don't judge me here. We haven't got enough sockets in this tiny kitchen, so I had to pop a little baking tray on the unit and transfer it over so I didn't burn the unit to get to a socket. So we could use our stick blender and we can blend the soup all together. This is the last step. It's so easy. Me talking and rambling, listening back, I might have made it more complicated than it needed to be. It's so easy. Trust me, if I can do it, then you can too. So we just want to stab around the saucepan, as you can see me doing here, and burning my hand. I'll just let you in on that little secret. So we're just going to turn the, we're just going to move the stick around the pot, so that we can try and get all of it as possible. I have never, ever, I've been making this soup nearly 10 years. I have never been able to get it perfectly smooth with no lumps of the squash left. So don't stress out about that. It's fine. If the kids get to say they had the lucky chunk of squash left in the soup, I'm not sure. I normally, if I do find one, I normally pass that on to my sister or my father. I see them deal with it. It's not bad anyway. I know it's not bad. It's the most flavourful bit. But we've blitzed that all up, and that's what it looks like. You can leave it on the stove now to heat, or just dish it up straight away. Right. Sorry for waffling on so long with this one. I hope you enjoy. Let me know how it goes. Send me pictures, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!